Hello and welcome back to SPINCast. My name is Sheridan, and today we are bringing you another episode of Jobs in Esports. We will be talking with Chippy, a video editor for Cloverity, a Rocket League organization. So Chippy, if you want to briefly introduce yourself and talk about how you got your start in esports and video editing, that would be great.
All right, awesome. Well, my name is Chippy, or Parker. It's my real name. Born and raised in Dallas. So how I kind of got into esports was I played Rocket League when the game first came out. And I always thought I was gonna go pro in it. I used to travel around Texas. I went to a few tournaments in Oklahoma, so I always did like LAN events and stuff. And then I got into running my own tournaments locally. So I did that for a while, and then I realized at a certain point I wasn't good enough to go pro. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start video editing because I've always had a thing for montages, watching people make them. So I one day just downloaded an editing software, knew nothing about how to do anything, and then I just started making videos and kind of teaching myself. Everything I've done is all self-taught, which I find interesting because I'll like watch people do stuff and it's nothing like what I do, but I feel like some of my ways are better. So I don't know. One day maybe I'll start showing people how I do my ways. But yeah, Rocket League is basically what got me into esports. I've always played video games. I've loved video games. But I think Rocket League was like the one game that I've stuck with forever now, and I've met so many people. I've worked with many esports organizations, many people. So I think it's just been a long journey. It's still not over, so it's a cool thing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. It's really cool that you're self-taught. I am
hmm
a self-taught video editor, but I would not say that I am able to pull off some of the coolest montages that I've seen on YouTube. But yeah, I always appreciate someone else who has taught themselves
hmm
what through tutorials and through just messing around in Premiere. I really appreciate that. And then alongside video editing for Cloverity, you also take on other video editing projects and clients as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I do a lot of freelance work with people. So like one of my main things that I do is the Rocket League montages. So I have organizations reach out to me during the start of like the season. So right now it's like the off season for Rocket League. Not a lot of organizations are picking up teams, but I think in like a month or two it's gonna start picking up, and then that's when teams will start reaching out to editors saying, "Hey, I need a video done for this. I need like an announcement video made." So they usually come to me or other editors I know. Um, so I do a lot of freelance work, or also content creators that stream on Twitch. If they would like a YouTube video made, I do that. Like I pull Twitch VODs, cut them up, add effects and transitions and stuff to help them out. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and kind of as a freelance but also full-time video editor, what does your day-to-day look like during the regular season? Do you dedicate, 8 to 5, or what do you schedule your day like?
Yeah, so right now I'm not a full-time editor yet, just due to the esports, all of like the cuts going on right now. But what I usually do is for Cloverity, I do a lot of their TikToks and just basic editing. So it's usually from like the players will send like clips in, I'll edit clips, put it into a YouTube shorts and TikTok format. Another thing I do is I work on my own work too. So I do a lot of stuff for myself, um, just to build my portfolio. That's like another big thing about working or finding jobs is having a big portfolio. People like work. So like if you show a lot of work, that's what people look for. So I like to get a lot of work done throughout my day. Uh, yeah, I just do a lot of editing. I do watch some videos, like I said before. I like to watch people edit, see how they do their ways around. But yeah.
Yeah, no, we've preached time and time again having a portfolio, and an active portfolio that is. We've
hmm
seen a lot of people, will submit work they've done 3, 4 years ago, but that'll be it. But
Exactly.
keeping that published and fresh. Is always a good thing to have, especially when looking for a new job in esports. You mentioned the job circuit right now not being at the greatest, and a lot of people are going to be hiring here soon. Great time to freshen up on your
Hmm.
work. I did want to note, I've seen on Twitch a lot lately. Video editors will be live streaming them editing a video, and it's just going through and kind of teaching the process live. And I think that's a cool aspect. Have you thought about doing anything like that before?
So I actually have thought about doing that, but the thing is since I do a lot of roster announcements, I can't really make that video live
Sure.
because that just spoil the announcement. Uh, but I have actually thought about that, like doing my own work and doing that. It's actually a good idea. Glad you brought that up again. So I do need to remember that. But what I used to actually do is I would just go to the search bar in Twitch and just type in editing, and I just watch people edit all day. But yeah, I guess I should start doing that.
And then outside of video editing, can you talk us through some of the other things that you need to do as a freelancer? We know that you're not just sitting and editing all day. Talk about some of the networking that you probably do, freshening up your portfolio. I've checked out your website; it's pretty awesome.
Thank
Stuff like
you.
that.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like a lot of esports, actually, I'd say most of esports is who you know. That's how I kind of got in. When I first started editing, I reached out to an organization. They were called DVS. They had a Rocket League team. I reached out to them, said, "Do you guys need an editor?" They said, "Yeah." They picked me up. I knew nothing, by the way. I didn't know a lot about editing. So they took me in, and I kind of started learning how esports worked and organizations and meeting these people in organizations that also knew people. So it's like you find a connection that has a connection that has a connection. It just keeps going down the line. And I just feel like finding connections is like one of the easiest ways to get work and just having like a known name. So I'd say just like reaching out to people too. Like what I used to do is for College Rocket League, when they would announce people who qualified for tournaments, I would reach out to those teams and say, "Hey, congrats on like your team making the tournament. Is there any way y'all would like a roster announcement video made or something like that?" Just like asking a team if they need something, like not being scared to ask something, of course, is like a good way. And then also what I used to do is like go out to the LAN events, like I said, meeting people there. I've been to multiple RLCS events, like the live events. I was in Dallas for Worlds. I've been to Vegas for another tournament. Just meeting people there, hanging out. There's always like groups going on and parties going on that you can always go to. Um, but yeah, a lot of it is who you know. So once you get your foot in the door, just keep talking to people. But yeah.
I like that aspect that you were saying when CRL teams qualify for a tournament, you reach out to those teams. It's kind of like being a door-to-door salesman, right? You're
Yeah,
going, you're
exactly.
selling your product. It's a really, really good way to do it. And I'm going to touch on it again. You had mentioned networking is the strongest asset to have in esports. We've talked about that numerous times. You just got to hit on it again and again and again. The more net connections you have, the more opportunities you're going to have in the long run. You have to put your name out in the pool. Next question we've got for you is what would you describe your editing style as? They all have their own patented video style, Hitch and Roger. Would you say you have a style, or do you base your style off someone else's?
That's a really good question. I feel like with Rocket League editing, there's so much you could do because they have like the whole replay system where you can go back and actually you have freelance of whatever you want to shoot in the video. Um, but my main thing with editing is when I use like a song in a video, I sync it to every beat. Like syncing your montages makes like your everyone's eyes like way bigger when they're watching it. I think like keeping in sync, that's like one thing I've had like people ask me how I like stay so much in sync with the music. Uh which is a good thing. And then I don't know, I like to keep my stuff very basic. I don't like a lot of flashy stuff going on. That was another main thing is when I first started editing, I added all these effects and crazy stuff going on in the videos. And I would post them up on Reddit, and I'd have a lot of people saying there's too much going on. I don't like this, and I would get more of those comments and people like liking the video. So one day I just kind of switched up my style to more like basic and easier to look at, smooth transitions. Um, I got way more positive feedback. I think it's just keeping it smooth, easy to watch, sync with music. That's more my style, and I feel like that's going to be like more of a style going forward because I feel like you got to appeal to the audience, and that's what the audience wants. They want to like be able to sit there and watch it and not have a seizure while watching it. But yeah.
I feel like there's a subsection of Rocket League video edits. I don't know how familiar you are, but back in the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, like 2009 to
Hmm.
Modern Warfare 2010, all the sniping montages all had that same punk emo music in the background. They all had similar edit styles. I feel like the Rocket League community is kind of like that, but a little more advanced now that more edits and
Uh-huh.
features have been added. Um, but yeah, there's like you were saying, there's so much you can do and ways to make it unique and add your own little touches to it. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Also for like music that you were saying, because yeah, I remember COD montages like you were saying back in the day. It was all rock music.
Hmm.
I feel like Rocket League community, no one like likes that type of music. So it's
Yeah,
more like the EDM. Some people like the rap. But yeah, music is like everywhere except for basically rock now, which is weird because that's all it used to be.
right.
But yeah.
My favorite, well, not favorite, my first and last Rocket League montage when I was at Florida State Esports was synced to Fallout Boys. I don't know if it's called Light It Up, but you know the
Yeah,
Light It Up song? Yeah.
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
And
Yeah.
I thought it was the best thing I've ever made, and I think the players were a little too nice to give me any criticism, but I did love that portion. So I'd love to know, what is your favorite part of editing? Is it syncing that music? Is it going and getting those replays and like getting the shot that you want? Do you like being cinematic like that? What's your favorite part?
Um. So I've actually said this before to multiple people. My favorite part of editing has nothing to do with the whole editing part. It's when I send in the final project to whoever I'm sending it to, and then they give me the reply after. It's like the best feeling. I just recently made a video for someone. It hasn't been released yet. Um, so I just recently sent a project, and he sent a reply to me, and it was like a paragraph, and he wrote like, I've done like multiple videos for him, and he sent like a long paragraph, like thanking me and telling me about how good my work is, and every time he watches my work, he gets goosebumps. And like that to me is like better than me sitting there for hours when he watches a 1 minute video, like not knowing I'm sitting there for hours and I get a reply like that. Um, Definitely that's my favorite part is knowing how people feel. Um, yeah, and I love watching the final product of making a video, but the worst part I'd say is not being able to watch that final video for the first time because I've been working on it for hours and hours and hours, and then it's finally done. I'm like, I've seen this 100 times now. Um,
That's
but yeah.
interesting. I've never heard that perspective before, and it really rings true. Like you don't get that, like
Hmm.
I guess just first watch, and nothing catches you by surprise because you made it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'll like rewatch it. I'm like, I don't know if this is good. I've seen it 100 times, but then I'll get the reply. It's like, this is amazing. I'll be like, okay, I'm just in my head.
Have you ever had any like more challenging video edits where you've had to be like, all right, I need to take a step back. I need to take a break from looking at this one video. And how did you kind of like navigate that, I guess?
Yeah, it's also a good question. There was a video I did for an organization and no more anymore. They're called Short Circuit Gaming. They picked up a PUBG team, and so they were a Rocket League organization forever. And the owner hit me up and he goes, "Hey, I have a PUBG team that I'm picking up. I need a video done." I go, "I've never done PUBG. I have no idea what's going on. I've probably watched it 2 times." So I was freaked out, and I just said yes. And he's like, okay. And he sat in a call with me while I'm like showing my screen while editing it. And I'm like freaking out the whole time. And it was actually pretty cool. It was like the players sending clips, and there were players that have been on like LAN events. So I was pulling clips off YouTube of them on LAN, like in the big circles, because PUBG, they have so many players. It's so cool. Um, so I kind of got taught PUBG while I was editing it in my ear, kind of telling me like what looks good, what doesn't. Um, just figuring out the whole game, not knowing it. I've had to do that before with like other videos too, is like figuring out a game and like how it even works or just something I've never seen before. But yeah, that was also like one of the best videos I did was that PUBG video. Like after it being done, I still have it up on my resume as like one of my best videos.
You were kind of put out of your element, and then you were very successful, and it turned out to be one of your better videos. I feel like that's really cool.
Yeah.
And so moving forward into the advice portion, what tools or software would you advise aspiring video editors to use? And then Braden added DaVinci versus Premiere versus Sony, whatever Sony's one is called. But what tools or software would you recommend for those up and coming video editors?
All right. First and foremost, you can only use Adobe. That's it. All right. No, that's not true, but yeah, that's I've only ever used Adobe, so that's what I prefer to people. Uh I've never used any other editing software, so I can't tell you if another one's easier or not. But yeah, I'd say Adobe After Effects, Adobe Premiere. I used to use what was called Adobe Elements as my first editing software. Very basic, easy to use, and it kind of gets you into the Adobe products. Um, Another thing that I use if you're trying to get like TikTok format that a lot of people don't know about, which is super easy. It's a or a website. It's called Streamladder, and it puts all of your stuff in TikTok format. You can put your face cam on there. That's like a little editing thing that I do when people need TikToks. It's super quick, super easy to use. Another thing, if you're trying to get in like Rocket League montages, go on YouTube and look up how to use Dolly Cam, and then also look up how to use Reshade. And there's a YouTuber, his name is Zeke, and he's been making videos forever. He now works for Rocket League. He used to give some really good tutorials back in the day, which are still really good now. Um, but yeah, for editing, I just say stick with Adobe if you're starting out, and yeah, just kind of get into it. There's they always have deals on their products, so you can get multiple products, like all their products together for a really good deal at certain times of the year. So maybe keep an eye out for that as well.
And the student
Yeah.
discount. They got student
Very
discounts.
true. Yes.
And you
So-
can finesse Adobe by pretending to cancel. I do this every year, pretend to cancel, and then I get a lower amount. So that's my tip.
I've actually never heard that.
Yeah, no, they'll give
That's
you a
smart.
better discount.
That's really
I'm at
smart.
like 17 a month. So
Oh, that's really good.
my tip.
So, being self-taught, how intimidating is it to jump into those Adobe programs? Because I'm not a video editor, and the small amount of video editing I've done, After Effects is terrifying to me. How do you maybe climb that barrier? Do you just keep watching videos until you're familiar with it, or do you just throw yourself in and force yourself to get comfy?
Yeah, so back to what I said about the Adobe Elements, that's what I downloaded. I actually downloaded it because it was cheaper than all the other products. Uh, but I think it was actually a really good decision because it kind of has like step-by-step stuff when you first open it. It has like three different sections you can put on beginner, intermediate, or expert. Uh, and the beginner one is what I started on, and it kind of shows you what effects do, what transitions do, how to change the colors on stuff, all the uh like positionings and remapping. So that's what I started on. I kind of just forced myself to do it. Um, but I was always like into it. I was always watching montage, and I was like, one day I'm just gonna do it. One day I just did it, and I started enjoying it. It was more of like a game when I started than actually like a job. So I say if you're trying to be self-taught, I'd say start on an easy program like that. There's also a program called CapCut that's everyone's using. it was like mobile. Now it's on desktop, and I've heard a lot of people have been using that now. That's very easy to use. Um, but yeah, I'd say maybe just start on a platform that is user friendly and teaches you how to work while you're going, and then upgrade to like Adobe Premiere when you're ready.
As a
Phil?
freelancer, I'm sure you're always trying to grow your client base and get your work out there. And so, can you talk more about the importance of networking and maybe some tips and tricks that you've learned along the way?
Yeah. So like I said about reaching out to people or organizations for work, like another thing I used to do is I used to reach out to like pro players, and I'd say, hey, do you want a video done? It would be like a minute long. Just send me like 5 to 10 clips. I had like 3 or 4 people actually like agree to it. No idea that was gonna happen. Did a video for Arsenal, which is a pro player for SSG right now, and I think when you make a video for someone like that, you know you're doing good, and like the response and just like after he like reposted it, you kind of get like people saying different stuff about it, and then people reaching out to you. So it's kind of like a pyramid effect. Well, I guess not pyramid effect. What like a
It's like a
waterfall
trickle
effect.
down,
Trickle
yeah.
down, trickle down.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I don't know where pyramid came from there, but yeah, I'd say it's kind of like falling down like that, and it's just you're getting to new levels of people, and I don't know. I guess the more work you put out, the more people will see it. That's how I've always seen it. I throw out work all the time. Um, yeah, and then like I said, just meeting people, just getting around to meet new people. Even like playing six mans, which is like Rocket League 3v3 server. Even playing six mans, you get to meet new people in the Rocket League community. Just yeah, going out of your comfort zone to meet new people for sure.
So, I think I know what you're going to say, but do you have a platform of choice for these kind of like outreach messages? And would you recommend going straight to a pro player or maybe for like a tier 2 amateur kind of thing? Do you have any recommendations there?
Yeah, for my platform of choice, it is definitely Twitter. The Rocket League community is actually very big on Twitter. I didn't know that for a very long time until I started using it. So definitely, if you're trying to reach out to people, Twitter is what I use. But I also post all of my stuff on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I have a whole link tree with all my stuff in it that I upload my videos on, and then my website, of course. Uh, but yeah, for reaching out to people, I'd say to start off would be to reach out to smaller organizations that have a decent or known team that you know that they'll be able to pay you. You can also offer free work too to start off. That's also a really good way to start and get some work done to show that you know what you're doing. That's how I kind of started. Was I did a free few montages, and then after that, people were like, okay, he knows how to do a montage. So I started listing my price around. Definitely have a website once you have work done. Uh, I guess you don't need a website, just like a resume, but I would recommend a website with all of your work on it or some of your favorite work for sure. And then what I do is when I'm reaching out to organizations, I say a little bit about myself and what I do, and then I link my website for them to click on. Um, so yeah, I guess just keep reaching out, use Twitter, upload your stuff on YouTube. YouTube has a weird algorithm for pulling random videos in and throwing them out to a bunch of people. So you could definitely get lucky doing that and reaching new people. And then also having a Fiverr. A lot of people use Fiverr. I just actually made a Fiverr. I haven't had anyone bought anything yet or buy anything yet, but I see a lot of people using Fiverr now, and that's a good way to get clients as well.
Definitely. And on the website note, I believe Adobe has like a free with membership platform. It's called Behance or Behance.
Mm-hmm.
And so that can be a nice alternative option if you don't want to shell out for, I mean, I guess you could have a free Wix site, but Anything
Yeah,
like that.
that's good too. Yeah, Behance is nice too. Yeah, I actually use Wix for my website, but I paid the extra money to have my own
Oh yeah,
little name for the website. But yeah,
nah, I get that. And then, what advice do you have for students interested in video editing that maybe want to pursue it as a hobby or even as a career? Anything we haven't mentioned yet today?
I would say if you're a student in college right now, or even high school, because high schools have esports programs now, I'd say reach in with them and see if they're looking for any video editing or even learning graphic work is nice. That's not too hard to learn too. I've kind of gotten myself into that too, and it's fun. So I'd say maybe reach out to your esports organization at your school and see if they need anything done. I know when I was at Texas Tech, I did some work for them, and they were always looking for work, and they were giving me so much work that I had to turn some of it down. So I know that if you have a big organization at your school, then they'll need some work.
It definitely plays in part with the CRL outreach that you were talking about earlier. There's a
Mhm.
lot of new names in the CRL community this year, or CRL, I guess, qualifiers. Reaching out to them and doing some work with them is gonna boost people's resumes incredibly. So
Yeah, exactly. And then once you reach out to a new college, then you can show them, hey, I worked with these two colleges already, and then they'll be like, okay, he's already worked with a few colleges. So
exactly, exactly, and that's also another part to the Stay Plugged In website that we're kind of seeing more now. We've recruited some coaches within the past year, but we're looking to get into the video editing and the other, operational side of high school esports and college esports. So helping out with those colleges and high schools now is only going to boost your resume later. So
exactly. Yeah, I always when I was in high school, we didn't have any of that esports stuff going on, and now it's like my area of Dallas, they're having Rocket League tournaments for high schools all the time. Like, oh, I wish I was there when I was in high school, but
man,
it's
Me
like
too.
changing now. Yeah, it's changing how like esports are like becoming like a big part of school now.
hmm
I'd say take advantage of that. If it's at your school and you love esports and you know you're gonna try and do something out of school, get into it now. Like meet people already in it for sure.
or even if you're not even into esports or you don't know anything about esports, if you like to play video games, go hang out with them. It's a great community to be involved with and learn more about.
I agree.
If I had esports in high school, I'd be a pro player. That's it. That's
Or-
all I'll say.
And yeah, so what's one piece, finishing off the advice column of this, what's one piece of advice that you wish you had when you first started back to the high school? If it was around when you were in high school, what would you have done differently than you did now?
I'd say that I would have done differently is probably started earlier from what I was doing. I knew I wanted to make montages and video editing for so long, and I had the computer and everything, and I was just too lazy to do it. And I feel like if I would have started it so like so long ago, that I feel like I would have been such like a higher potential and more people coming to me and just getting more work, maybe even having like full-time job in the industry. But I'd say that's one thing I definitely regret is knowing that I was gonna do this, but just not doing it earlier. So if you're ready to do it, pull the trigger, like uh, get on it. But yeah, I think that's about it. I don't regret much that I've been doing.
No, for sure. And to touch on the point that you said you had your computer and everything to do it. Those people who don't have a computer, they don't necessarily need one.
Mm-mm.
Faze Gersh, he's a social media manager there with Faze. He does everything off of his phone. I think he recently just got a computer, but small
That's
video edit
crazy.
and graphics, yeah, everything's off his phone. He's made a thread of the programs and the apps that he uses. I think CapCut was a large one of that. But yeah, shout out Gersh and definitely utilize what you have, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like CapCut now is I'm seeing people make better edits than I make on CapCut, and I'm always looking at them. I'm like, should I just get CapCut? And I'm like, nah, I can't leave Adobe and go to CapCut. But I see like people on CapCut and like work is amazing on there. So even like sitting there on your phone, like you said, is a great way of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And so, wrapping up the interview, you can shout yourself out. Where can people find you? Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, anything like that?
Yeah, so all of my socials are ChipyRL, my Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. Uh, and then if you scroll on my Twitter, I have a link tree up there too that takes you to all of my other socials. But yeah, that's everything.
All
Oh, and
right.
one more shout out. Shout out to my boy C Money. He's a big part of my Rocket League journey. So
There you
shout out
go.
him.
Shout out C Money.
Yes, sir.
We are looking for the best high school Rocket League and Valorant players from across the country. Is it you? Nominate yourself or a friend to be a 2023 Stay Plugged In Coca-Cola All-Star today.